Yo, 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 yo. I want to feel like an American rapper today. My name is Alija Adebowale. It's still the best sporting show in the whole of the universe. It's still news instant sport. I got the whole crew with me today. I got Oracle Kochi. I have the grand sport master Olali, and of course I have Eddie Badasa with me. Sadly we're missing Olayinka today, but the show must continue. Every live on Apple Podcasts, of course, Spotify, and of course on a band video scope. Guys, stream, like, and share for God's sakes. And of course, visit our YouTube channel. I'm gonna allow my guests to introduce themselves. I'm gonna start with Oroku Kachi. Kachi, you want to speak French today? Why don't you make the introduction in French?
Hey. Salut tout le monde. J'espère que vous allez bien. Je m'appelle Kachi, aka Oracle Kachi. Aujourd'hui, on célébrait en anglais, c'est les GOAT du sport NFL. Tom Brady, il s'appelle Tom Brady, qui fait le retraitement dans le week-end. Et aussi, on célébrait Rafa Nadal, qui gagnait les tournements Australian Open. Et pour les 21 fois, en anglais, on say congratulations. I think I'm just going to stop there and go back to English. Big congratulations to Rafa Nadal for breaking the records as well. And we also celebrate the career of the greatest to ever do it in the quarterback position, Tom Brady. All this we will just dissect. Stay tuned for a cracking show.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Olali.
Yeah, good day, sporting fans around the world. Welcome to the show. It's despite the fact that there was no game in the European League. The AFCON is still ongoing. Burkina Faso are into the semi-final. I think there is a bit of shift of power in African football that we are not taking note. This should be Burkina Faso's third appearance in the semi-final of the Nations Cup, I think in the last 5 or 6 editions. That is some consistency. We need to take note of that.
All right, perfect. Shay.
Hello, sport fans around the world. Welcome to the show. It was quite an eventful weekend in the sports world. Congratulations to Rafa, record-breaking 21st Grand Slam. Also, congratulations to Ash Batsy also, breaking also a new record, winning the Australian Open as an Australian. That should be the first in the last 44 years thereabouts. And also, I think she just completed Grand Slam on all surfaces also, making, I think, the 5th player, I think the 5th player active at the moment, after Rafa Nadal, Federer, Djokovic, and Serena. I think she's the 5th active player that has completed Grand Slam on all surfaces. Amazing. So congratulations to her.
All right, perfect. So she has joined an elite club. Of course, we'll start with the new king in town. We have a new king in town. It used to be
Vamos, Rafa.
Yeah, it used to be what's up? Is it gonna be Roger, Novak, or Rafa? But Rafa did it dog deep, 2 set down. And of course, when I saw Rafa was 2 set down, I felt bad for Medvedev already. Instead of feeling that Medvedev is going to win, I felt, oh, this is about time. If Rafa should win the next set, then it's all over. And he did it. He did it in wonderful style, winning 3 of the 5 sets. Kudos to Medvedev as well. He did what he could do best, but of course, like they say, nearly is never enough. Kachi, I'm gonna start with you now. I don't want to take shine off Rafa breaking the record. Is this safe to say he's the new king right now? Because of course it should be.
You are speaking to a very biased supporter of Rafa Nadal. I've always felt he's the best, but that's a personal opinion. In terms of the numbers, you would definitely say yes. He's only the 5th person I think the sixth person, rather, ever in the Open era to have won on every surface at least twice. Also the first person in since 1965 to come back from 2 sets down to come back and win. The match itself was the second longest Grand Slam final game, lasting 5 hours, 24 minutes. And the way he did it, the consistency he showed, coming from someone who 6 months or 6 weeks ago, wasn't sure he would ever play the sport of tennis again. That tells me, to me, numbers alone is the greatest. But yeah, records are meant to be broken. You still have to recognize the people who pushed it, because these three guys pushed each other to achieve an eclipse record set by the Pete Sampras of this world. I think Nadal, you can argue it. I think he's the greatest, but definitely it's arguable how he won it. The number of times he won on certain surfaces may also come into play. But when you look at the number of ATP titles, Grand Slam winning, I mean, even based on numbers alone, you have to give him that. But it definitely is arguable.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Kachi. Shay, I'm gonna come for you now. Without taking anything away from Rafa and what he achieved during this Australian Open, but would we have had a different scenario if Novak was not silly and was in this tournament?
I think,
hypothetically.
yeah. I think it would definitely would have been a different tournament. There's no way Novak would be in this particular Grand Slam and it will not be in the final. Now, my question now would be, who actually will be facing, would have been facing Novak in the final? I think Nadal had to put into play everything he has done over his last 20 years into that particular game against Medvedev. We've seen Medvedev over the last 6 months growing into a top contender. Yeah, in the male tennis. We've seen him beat Novak in the last Grand Slam tournament, US Open. And he has also played final of the Australian Open last year also. And it shows that this is a good player on hard court. And I sincerely think if Novak was in this tournament, there's possibility of Nadal probably losing in the semi-final to one of the contenders. Could have been Novak Medvedev in the final. But this, we cannot really 100% say that that was what's supposed to happen, because it never happened. But definitely, if Djokovic was in this tournament, it would definitely be a different tournament for Nadal.
Different game. Yeah. All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that, Shay. Olale, do you agree with Shay on that one? That, of course, we don't want to still shine away from me winning the 21st Grand Slam, but in years to come, are we going to be hearing sport analysts saying, "What if?"
We already started doing that, and I think that was the biggest concern for me when it was obvious that Novak was going to miss this competition, because going into this competition, I think Novak has been probably the strongest of the big three. Let me use that word in the last, let me say, in the last 24 months. Yeah, it was already that momentum was already there. It was actually, everybody was actually surprised that he lost the US Open final. That was a big shock, and everybody, we feel that this Australian Open could have been an avenue for him to redeem himself from that loss.
Yeah.
So of course, that if will always be there. It will never go away. Rafael Nadal, we have to deal with that. There are especially probably if he end up to be the most successful or the most successful of the three, and by the time you take a look at it, probably you look at Novak missing probably this Australian Open and probably the next two, and if Nadal edge him eventually by 1 or 2 titles, if will always be there. We can't. There is no way that conversation
we'll always bring up the. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Olale. Kachi, what next now? Uh, of course, Kings always retire at the end of the day. Michael Jordan did,
Mhm.
Maradona, Pele did. At a point in time, we're going to see Rafa, Roger, and Djokovic. Who do you think is going to be the next prince? Like that they called Ipeba those days, Prince of Monaco. Who's going to be the Prince of Monaco for tennis?
There's a popular saying, the king is dead, long live the king. Um, I think, unlike the female game, we can rest assured knowing that the male game is in very good hands. Just taking into, considering just the caliber or the quality of game Daniel Medvedev gave Rafa Nadal in the just completed Aussie Open. It lets you know that between Medvedev, Alexander Zverev, that's the next iteration of superstars of tennis, male tennis superstars are just around the corner. And a very fun fact for those of us that like to keep this record, this year was the first time that 6 out of the 8 quarterfinalists were aged 25 or younger. It's never happened before. Two Canadians in Felix Auger-Aliassime and Shapovalov, I think, or Shapovalov, yeah.
Shapovalov, yeah.
Yeah, age 22 and 21, could have respectively defeated the eventual finalists in the Australian Open. They both took Medvedev and Nadal to 5
5
setters.
sets.
It tells you that the game is very much in good hands. So back to your question, who are the next set of people? You already have them there. Daniel Medvedev will ultimately be a Grand Slam champion. No, I think he's won one already,
Yeah.
but he will be a multiple Grand Slam champion. Alexander Zverev is not far off. Even the notorious Australian bad boy won
Kyrgios. That boy is
Kyrgios won. He won the male doubles tournament in this Australian Open. So it means that sometimes it may, as we say in Nigeria, pardon me for those who don't speak Yoruba, one lay serves in one lower. That means everything can just be very perfect and somebody else comes out to win it. So I'm really happy with the level of talent behind the big three. It tells me, and I'm more assured than I am in the female game, that the male game is in very good hands.
All right, perfect. So just a quick rundown of our top 10 in the world right now. Still, King Novak sitting on top. Daniel Medvedev, number 2. Alexander Zverev, 3. Stefanos Tsitsipas, the Greek wonder
Tsitsipas,
boy.
exactly.
Tsitsipas is on
Yes.
number 4. Rafael Nadal, number 5. Mandy Rublev on number 6. Matteo Berrettini, the Italian muscle man, is number 7 right now. Kaspar Ruud is number 8, and Felix Ilya, the Canadian, is number 9, while Jannik Sinner is number 10 right now in the world. So to the female version, as expected, we all knew Barty is probably going to win. I fancied Sabalenka to get to the final, but she did not. No surprises at the end of the day. The early starter, the early set pacers seem like they are not interested in tennis right now. The Naomi Osakas of this world, they did not feel like they're interested. Ashley could be potentially, but the inconsistency in female tennis is just so disheartening. So I won't want to talk about actually be the next kid on the block or being the next great. We just wait till she can actually convince us that she is the next person to watch out for and could potentially win multiple Grand Slam with a level of consistency. Olali, I'm going to come to you right now. Move to the basketball world right now. The All Stars is out. All Star list. So I'm just probably going to mention the 5 top 5 players from each conference.
The starting 5.
The starting 5 from each conference. We have Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, LeBron, Ja Morant playing one of the probably the best basketballer right now. Andrew Wiggins as well. No shock on that side. How do you feel about the roster?
Yeah, well, I think the roster probably reflects what majority of basketball fans have been actually been thinking. I just think with the Steph Curry for how he started the season, Ja Morant for where he has actually elevated the Memphis Grizzlies. LeBron being LeBron, probably the only man carrying what do you call it? The
Lakers.
Lakers. Andrew Wiggins, I think that is a bit of. I think if Paul George was not injured, probably Paul George should have been there because I think at the time Paul George was actually leading, was one of the top contender in that particular role. But because I think most fans realized he was injured, and again, when you play in the big market, it counts. I think playing in the big market with the likes of Steph Curry,
Uh-huh.
it rubbed on Andrew Wiggins,
Other
and
Wiggins.
probably you can argue that okay, in that role, Anthony Davis was injured for a long period. We've not really seen him.
Is he still a
Um,
basketballer?
there is no Kawhi Leonard. He's back. There is no Kawhi Leonard. A lot of people have been injured playing that. What do you call it? Small
Yeah.
Five.
forward,
Uh-huh.
power
Power
forward
forward.
role.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I think that's just the only. But I think the biggest omission from the West that probably because of the greatness of Steph Curry and what Ja Morant has actually
Done.
what he has actually done this season, I think is um Devin Booker. They are the top team in the West. In fact, they are the top team overall in the league. They've won 9 consecutive
Yep.
games. He's been their top guy alongside Chris Paul. I think if you look at the number of votes he gathered, I think there's been a bit of disrespect on him or on his part. In as much as you might argue, it's difficult to argue against the selection of Ja Morant and Steph Curry.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
from what I expected him to pull more than that kind of number of votes. And again, coming from a small market in Phoenix, Arizona, I think there's still a bit of disrespect on that part. I think if there's anybody that I make a case for, in as
It's gonna
much
be
as I
Devin
don't know
Booker.
whether I don't know whether I can remove any of those two. It has to be Devin
Devin
Booker.
Booker. That's what you get when you're not careful. Kachi, I'm gonna come to you. Moving to the east. Giannis, of course. Demar, perfect this season. KD, just like LeBron, can't do any good. Any wrong. Sorry. Joe Embiid, I don't know. And
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
no, I'm talking about.
We
I'm
should.
not talking about. I'm not basing it off pedigree. I'm basing it off form. At the start of the season, Joe Embiid was not in the best form. I think he was injured at the start of the season as well. Trey Young as well. I don't know why. Maybe you can convince me and tell me and make case for those two guys, Joe and Trey Young.
Truth is, when I saw the list, I personally thought that the fans, the voting public, got the East right. Except for the fact that if James Harden and Kyrie Irving had been playing consistently, we might have probably seen
A difference.
three of the starters coming from Brooklyn Nets. But it's very hard to fault that five-man starting list. Giannis is Giannis. He's probably, right now, in my opinion, probably the best player in the league. It can be argued, but that's what I think. Trey Young, big market, standing up, very tall, consistently delivering for his team. You may not like it, but it's the truth. Embiid is Joel. The process seems to be back and alive in Philadelphia. Let's see what they will achieve this year. But Embiid, similar to LeBron James, has been averaging almost 30 points per game right now. You cannot fault that. If you remember 3 or 4 weeks ago, when we were trying to forecast who the
possible
starters will
yeah.
be, Olawale told you that if DeMar DeRozan is not in the backcourt, there will be World War III. So DeMar has been playing lights out all season long.
All season,
so
yeah.
I think while you can argue the Andrew Wiggins of this world and the omission of Devin Booker from the starting five, it's really hard. It's really hard to argue anybody out of that starting
Out
five.
of that starting five in the East.
I definitely think they got that right. And I look forward to a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
All-Star game.
Okay.
Kachi, I
All
think
right.
not looking at stats at all. From my mind, I was looking at Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks. I think they are probably, as it stands today, in the East, they are not in contention for. I think they are presently okay. They are 10th, which means they are still within the play-in bracket. Fine, but honestly, I've not been really looking at what do you call it?
The statistics.
The stats. I think Trey Young is number 5 on the scoring. Is averaging 27.5 per game this season. That is scoring, and on the assist is number 3, which is averaging 9.2, just behind Chris Paul and James Harden, which means the numbers are good, but the effect of the number on the team, we've actually not been seeing it, because
See the effect of
considering the
it
fact
But
that
you can say the same thing for LeBron
for
James.
LeBron.
LeBron has been averaging 30 points per game for
but
all season
probably
long. LeBron will win scoring champion this season at the rate it's going. But the Lakers are barely struggling to remain at that
probably
level
probably
right now.
LeBron reputation is so big that it's
No,
so
no, no,
I think before now Trey Young was the only one. For me, I was probably making a case for the duo of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan,
And
because I think
DeMar
both
to
of
be
them
on
have
the
been fantastic.
backcourt.
But I think looking at the numbers because I
for
was
Trey
actually
Young.
surprised about, but looking at the numbers now, I think, yeah, probably yes, he deserves to be there.
I don't know. I would grudgingly agree. But if your numbers are not rubbing off on your team, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing there, anyways. Golden State Warriors, Brooklyn Nets, on Saturday. That was a good one, and I can't stop loving Kyrie Irving. I think Kyrie is my best basketballer, like in the past, apart from Allen Iverson. He's my best. It's the person I love most. I don't care what anybody say about him. I just love that guy. I'm like, okay. He told, was it Steph that he told that? So when am I riding next on your yacht or your boat? I'm like, oh wow, this guy is just he can't cease to be crazy. Kashi, I'm gonna come to you now. Tom Brady, on Saturday they said he has retired. Early on Sunday they said he has not retired. But you being the oracle and the godfather of NFL here on News Instanta, what is the story? Is he retired or not?
The true story is that we finally bid farewell to the career of the greatest quarterback to ever do it, Tom Brady. Confirmed news from every source. Because breaks, you need to look at who the source of that news is, and news coming from Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter. You might as well take it as fact. After 22 years and 7 Super Bowls, 22 years, 10 Super Bowl matchups, 7 rings. We finally say goodbye to a sure first ballot Hall of Famer in Tom Brady. Unfortunately, he couldn't get to the Super Bowl again. Brady said he wanted to play until 45. He managed to do it until he was 44. And for reasons, so for family reasons, when I watched this Man in the Arena documentary, I realized that he's beginning to think more about his kids who are growing up to become, I think one is now 13, the other one is 11. This is the time he needs to become a father. And also when he looks at the competition behind him, with the Patrick Mahomes, the Joe Burrow, who faced Mahomes, Josh Allen, who by far had a near flawless game in the divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs. And you see even Mac Jones in the Patriots, you see that the league is in really good hands. The toll of 22 years of taking beatings from big giant defenders ultimately will take its toll on anybody. It's good for Tom Brady's brand that he lives healthy and not broken, and not broken, because right now he's trying to pitch his TB12 diet and all that. You need to show that your diet work, unlike the Regina Daniels of this world that are not using products they're advertising. Brady is using his TB12 products, and he needs to let the world know that if you stick to TB12, you can lead the game at the top of it. He's living at the top of it. He will be eligible for the Hall of Fame in 2027, and everybody will vote. He will probably be the second unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer after Peyton Manning, and what a career. We celebrate him. I tip my hat off to him, and I wish him very well.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that.
But to add something to that, I think
Yeah.
Kachi, one thing I agree with you on is looking at the competition, especially I think the Buccaneers are on the National Football Conference division, the NFC.
Yes,
and
NFC.
I think that division has a lot of, or that conference has a lot of competition in terms of looking at the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, the 49ers. They are a very good team. The Rams, the Packers. These are very, very good competition, which
physical tips.
There is no guarantee that if you even stay one more year, it might get to the Super Bowl again. So I think it's just a smart call for him just to call it a day now.
Yeah. It's not. It's for people like that. It's not about the money again. It's just about. It's about pride and.
And that's a very funny thing. Tom Brady had never, throughout his 22 years career, he was never at any point in the top 10 highest earning player. He always took pay cuts to allow the Patriots to remain competitive. And one very funny fact, he has 7 Super Bowl rings. He has more rings than any franchise. An individual has more Super Bowl wins than any franchise. The next is the New England Patriots at 6, then the Dallas Cowboys, and my dear San Francisco 49ers at 5. That's a heck of a career right there.
All right, perfect. Sheyi, I'm gonna come to you now. Dino White, Tyson Fury match has been fixed. According to you, of course, I've not seen the news, but according to you, which I believe, because you are the #1 boxing analyst, in April, what are we looking forward to? Are we looking forward to a battering, by Tyson or Dylan White?
First of all, let's talk about the money. Quite a big purse is going to be split between these two fighters. The purse that was the bid that was won on Friday, last week Friday, was $41 million for this particular bout. Wow. And it's going to be splitted between the two 80-20. Initially that was what Dylan White was fighting for, to get something higher than the 20%, but it seems he's going to go ahead as 80-20. Also, let's talk about the bout itself. This is going to be like the biggest bout between two British since Lennox Lewis and Rick Bowell, and that's as far as 1993. Is a bout for the WBC heavyweight title. We all know what Fury brings to boxing: the skills, the stamina, the height,
the aggression.
The dexterity at which it takes apart his opponents one after the other. Talking about Dylan White, I think Dylan White is a boxer with a lot of aggression also. But of course, we cannot compare Dylan White's career or his boxing ability to Tyson Fury. So definitely it's going to be a one-way bout as far as I'm concerned. Tyson Fury all the way. Let's say Dylan White is just going to put up a little bit of fight, because I believe that's how stubborn he is. We saw when he fought Anthony Joshua, he almost knocked out Anthony Joshua, I think around the 4th or the 5th round, before he was eventually knocked out in the 7th round thereabouts. He's going to put up a fight, but I see nothing stopping Tyson Fury. But this bout is just also telling us that there's a possibility of seeing an undisputed fight very soon. Initially, we were thinking that maybe there'll be a possibility of Joshua taking the sit-out money and let Usyk go ahead and fight Fury. But as it is, most likely both bouts are going to go ahead, and we can see maybe a possibility of seeing an undisputed fight between two British. Anyway, that is just being
optimistic.
That's just being optimistic.
I have a
So
question for you, Shay. If I take the gauntlet, Debo, permit me. I know we did not have social media in 1990 when 1990, early 1991,
93.
when it was 93 James Buster Douglas did the number on Mike Tyson.
Tyson.
Don't you think this is going to be a banana peel for a much relaxed? I'm not saying it will happen. I mean, everything points to a blowout by Tyson Fury. But how big of an upset will this be if a Douglas moment happens between Dillian White and
Fury.
Tyson Fury? I'm saying this because nobody expected Alexander Usyk, or at least let me not say nobody, but a
I
lesser
did.
number of people did not expect Usyk to dethrone Joshua. Just saying, we were all already looking at Joshua Fury, nothing stopping that fight happening, and now there's a chink in the wall. What if a Douglas moment happens? How seismic of an upset would this be, Shane?
Thank you, Kachi. A very fantastic question. But I think if I have to weigh the two boxers and the two scenarios, I think they are a little bit different from each other. Buster Douglas was completely an underdog fighting Tyson at that particular period. There were a lot of people looking out ahead to bigger fights for Tyson. Tyson was just supposed to defend, to stay active actually, to defend his belt at that point, and that happened. Also, Douglas' situation kind of helped him. Around that period, he just lost his mother. His mother happened to be the person that actually his biggest supporter when you're talking about boxing, his inspiration. So all those things really just, we saw a fighter boxing out of frustration and also has nothing to lose. So I think those things, those scenarios
Tyson
worked.
was, it did not have
And
something. Tyson was on drugs.
and Tyson was really underrated boxer at that point. Now talking about Dillian White and Fury. Fury will be. I don't see that happening for Fury to underrate Dillian White. Dillian White is the #1 challenger as a WBC heavyweight champion. He actually carries a belt also because he's called an interim champion. So I don't see Fury undermining the what White brings to the table. So I don't really see that. But if it happens, you talked about the disarray of order in the heavyweight division. That is going to cause a lot of issues. That is what Usyk did in the WBA, WBO bout by beating Anthony Joshua. Now we have to wait for that refight and also to see if Joshua can actually win back his belt and now start talking about undisputed. It's going to be a big one, but I won't say Dillian White is totally an underdog in this particular bout.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. And to a not so interesting one, Bukachi want me to talk about it. Nico Ali is 4-0 up in his career right now after defeating Jeremiah Yaga. I hope I'm pretty sure my pronunciation is poor and it's wrong as well. So I'll just say Jeremiah defeated Jeremiah. But of course, Ali is the grandson of Muhammad Ali, so we need to talk about him. I don't see so much about it. We're going on a quick break right now. When we'll come back, we'll be jumping straight into the transfer window. What we have a whole lot, and of course, we'll be starting with Mason Greenwood. Don't go anywhere, guys.